Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Dynamics Corner, the podcast where we dive deep into the highlights of the conference, discuss the revelations made, and explore how they could reshape our Dynamics experience. This episode promises a wealth of information, insights, and some exciting surprises. I'm your host, Kris.
And this is Brad. This episode was recorded on September 29th, 2023. Kris. You said this episode promises. Who made these promises?
Is it promise?
I don't know. You said this promised to be a wealth of information.
A promise of wealth of information. And
Okay.
there are quite a bit.
We always have a wealth of information because we always speak with wonderful, amazing guests that are from the Business Central community or other communities. We just speak with amazing people. That's what we do. And this episode was another episode that doesn't disappoint. We had the opportunity to have another conversation about the upcoming summit conference that's going to be held in Charlotte, North Carolina. We got to speak with two members of the committee for the Business Central track, and also got to learn a little bit about a sport that I thought was fake.
And their chairs, which is fitting for this podcast.
It is. We had two chairs sitting in the Dynamics Corner chair. With us today, we had Dave Weiser and Demanda Beating Mayer. Dave, you're supposed to wave. I thought we were doing the silent greeting this morning.
That's what I thought too.
So it was like the first time we ever do this. You know, the silent greeting. I don't know, Kris got into his parade float wave.
You know, I watched the Barbie movie last night, so I was like, they're doing this
on
wave.
purpose?
How was that?
Or were you tricked into it?
You know, I was told my wife and daughter went to go watch it in the theaters, and I want to pass. Not for me, right? Like I don't watch a lot of movies, but they told me it was like, you got to watch it. It's pretty good. It was not bad. It was pretty decent.
I heard that it was a good movie for what you would expect it to be. I think you have to go in with a certain expectation and then you enjoy it.
Yeah.
I watched Ahsoka episode 7 last night.
Oh, I haven't watched that yet. I haven't seen the Barbie movie yet. Yeah, but
I haven't seen the Barbie movie either, but Ahsoka, I'm hooked. It's good.
I'm catching up on that this weekend.
I think I'm 1 or 2 episodes behind on that.
Yeah. Well, I
What's
think
it
there's only
called?
8. Ahsoka.
Ahsoka.
It's a Star Wars related.
So, but anyway, Amanda.
Hey, Brad.
Yes.
How are you fuzzing out your background?
I don't know. It just does it. It's magic.
I'm purposely unfuzzing mine.
Well, I was going to do, but
I know.
Whatever.
I like that you have it unfuzzed because I'm trying to see everything that's on your pictures on your wall, which we'll talk about, I think, in a moment.
I even stood up so you could see more of them.
Wow. Because I did see some of them last time. I see the Wonder Woman now that I didn't see last time.
Oh, yeah, this guy.
Girl. Wonder Woman's a girl.
Person.
Maybe.
Yeah.
A person. Wonder Woman is a person.
Yeah.
But Dave, Amanda, welcome. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us. I enjoy speaking with you both. And in this conversation, you both have a big role as part of the upcoming Summit Conference group. So I wanted to speak with you. Kris and I both wanted to speak with you about the conference to see if we can get some information from you about the conference, about what the attendees may be able to expect, and also if there are any secret surprises that you could tell us. I'm dying for somebody to be able to like drop some big secret for us, right? Kris, wouldn't that be great? Like we could have just like a big secret drop.
Microsoft is selling Business Central to NetSuite. How's that?
Woo! That's going to be the headliner for this episode.
Yes. Is Microsoft selling Business Central?
That would cause.
Oh my goodness!
But it came first from Dave. So Dave would be the one that started the rumor.
Yeah, I can do that.
So Dave started the rumor.
Well, actually, here we go. This is the beginning of telephone, right? Let's see how big this gets now.
Yes.
We'll turn this to a blog, and then someone's gonna pick up that snippet, index it, and it's
you haven't started recording yet, right?
Dave, everybody knows we start recording before you join. That's what we talk about in the pre-meetings. Like, so we can just hit this.
I missed the pre-meeting.
That's true.
Oh, that's right.
He didn't make it to the pre-meeting.
He didn't make it to the pre-meeting, so he missed the rules.
I didn't sign the release.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
You may not know it, but you did. You signed the release. Amanda signed it, and she signed it for you.
Just by showing up, right? It was one of those implied acceptance.
I think technically, if you do show up to the recording of a podcast, there is implied consent because you do know it's a podcast that's recorded, right?
Right.
Would that be? I'm not a legal expert, but something tells me if I show up to something that is known to be recorded, common sense would say that I was to be recorded. And that's why I put in the pre-podcast planning notes, the pre-podcast planning will not be recorded. So you could talk and not have to worry about what you say.
Isn't that same true for Summit? Like if you show up, they'll just take a picture of you and they'll blast it on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
See? So that's good.
Yeah,
sure
any of the
it's
videos or pictures they take.
I'm sure it's somewhere in the small print, but who reads that small print?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now I think I started copying and pasting the text of large documents, and I throw it into Chat GPT, and I say, summarize this for me to see if I can get the highlights. Just to see how well it does. I try to experiment with some of those things just to see if I can get the outline for it. The other one too that it's not a secret that I use in conjunction with ChatGPT is Grammarly. I've been using Grammarly for years.
Grammarly is great.
Grammarly is amazing. I do have a subscription, but Grammarly also has the same functionality now to where you can highlight text and say, improve this, and you can choose like the tone, you can choose whatever. And you can also say, give me the TLDR. For this type of stuff, I like Grammarly much better than ChatGPT. I mean, ChatGPT is good.
Can I quick pause for a second? Dave, I think your microphone is using your laptop's microphone rather than your headset. Just FYI.
No, it should be using, let me check. It should be using my, this one.
It is, because I can hear it.
Oh, okay, because it's here's
down
your
by his.
Oh, it's you're hearing me moving stuff around.
Yes.
Yeah.
and then move do your camera like
now
this.
You're blurry. You've been blur everything.
Oh, Kris, we don't have to do a timeout. We have to keep this. This is fun. No, just take 2. I want to get one of those little
amateurs.
bullets.
I mean, that's what we are. We're all amateurs.
I don't know why that's.
I'm ordering one of those on Amazon.
Okay.
Focus.
Oh, but now we get through that. But to go back to why we really wanted to speak with you, we always enjoy speaking with the both of you on a number of reasons. I don't know who I'd speak with more, Dave or Kris. It has to be Kris, but Dave's up there too. But if you both could tell us a little bit about yourselves and also the role that you have as part of the Summit committee, and we can start with Dave. You're on top, so maybe we can start with you first.
I was going to say go with Amanda first. She's the chair. I'm just the co-chair. But
we save the best for last then. So Amanda can go last.
Okay, that works. That works.
There's no just about it, but.
So I'm Dave Weiser. I have formed a company called Dynamics Northwest, an independent consultancy, after working with users and partners for a number of years. In the NAV and VC space, also very involved in what used to be NAVUG, now is BCUG, but at least the Dynamics Communities user group site, and have been involved with them for almost from the beginning of my experience with NAV. My first user group, if I remember right, was Seattle back years ago in the convergence days and that kind of thing, and in the original forum, But I've really been a big believer in user groups and allowing users to teach each other and to share ideas and to share content and to just network together. And I've really enjoyed the conferences and going to all the conferences, and just getting to meet everybody and share things that I've learned. So that's kind of where I am. And I'm looking forward to, going to Charlotte in a couple of weeks. Still got a little bit of work to do on the sessions, but that's the way things go. But looking forward to seeing everybody, and hopefully this will be bigger and better. It was really bad with COVID taking a lot of the steam out of the growth of the whole community. But I think it's starting to come back now. People are starting to be comfortable being together again, and we're really looking forward to a really successful summit with a lot of partners, a lot of users, a lot of knowledge sharing going on throughout the conference.
Great. Thank you, Dave. And what is your role this year with the Summit Conference? I know you're
my role this year,
So
I am on the board of advisors for BCUG, but more specifically, I help Amanda in the programming committee for Summit. So we were involved with looking at all of the sessions, looking at all the tracks, keeping the track leaders on task, just putting together, once the track leaders kind of determined what sessions, is kind of putting together the schedule and putting together all the sessions. So we had a huge cross-reference of sessions through all the tracks. And in addition to that, a good cross-section of training academy classes, which the academy is the 4 days before Summit actually begins. And we've really got a good cross-section of academy classes. Some of them we had to drop because they weren't we didn't get enough registrants for them, but we've got 4 or 5 classes that are on tap right now, and really looking forward to that academy. So helping plan the schedule and getting everything organized. So, if you don't like the conference, if you don't like the content, you can go ahead and blame Amanda and I for that, but that's just too bad.
Say blame Amanda. I'm just a co-chair.
Amanda's just the chair. No, thank you for all the work that you've done for the scheduling. I know there's a lot to it. Kris and I also participated in some of the committee for that.
Well,
I know there's a lot of work that you both have put into it to try to orchestrate, align, and put the schedules together. So I appreciate that.
And that's interesting as to how difficult that is, too, to put a schedule together when you have 100 sessions that you got to try and fit in the right time slots. You got to make sure that you don't have speakers that are overlapping, that are in the same time slot, or even we tried to make it so that speakers weren't going from one session right to another session, so at least there was some kind of gap, making sure all the tracks were represented for each time slot. So it is a difficult job to try and put together a schedule like that.
Oh, that's great. Amanda, you're just the chair, but can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what the chair does?
Well, so I'm Amanda. I am an accountant by trade, but now I am a consultant by activity, I guess. I actually was exposed to... I
like that, accountant by trade, consultant by activity.
Yeah. So I was exposed to NAV as an end user in a previous life where I actually started implementing it at the corporate level. And then we were a worldwide manufacturer and distributor of adhesives, and we had a lot of subsidiaries. And so I started implementing it down into the subsidiaries. And similarly to Dave, Convergence 2011 was the first time I'd heard about the user group and was immediately hooked. And so Seattle Forum in 2012 was the first time that I actually attended as well. I actually also spoke the first year that I attended because I had met someone in Convergence, and there's like, ooh, you should speak. And I'm like, oh, sure. I had one of the fullest rooms. It was my first speaking engagement. I hit the microphone and the podium, but I had some lovely people who I didn't quite know yet, who were in the room, who had been around quite a while and supported, like when I had issues. And like, that was one of the first things that I realized about this community and why I just got sucked further and further into it, like the passion of the people for the product and the support and the long-term friendships. I've known people now for over a decade, and I mean, there was a period of time where I started my own business with a couple of them, also doing consulting. And now I work for a different partner, but it became something that I had to do out of necessity to learn more about the product and become an expert. The area that I was trying to implement the system, there was a lot of expertise in probably 70% of it because it was all accounting based, but that 30%, there wasn't a ton of knowledge out there. So I had to learn. So I share a similar passion to Dave for this community and sharing what I know and continuing to work with these people. And I learn so much and I get to share what I know. So I love that. I do want to just point out, Dave made a comment about the scheduling and all the work that we do. This year's sessions and the schedule, it wouldn't have happened without Dave's work specifically on making sure that the scheduling, it's such a big job. And because we have over 100 sessions within our product and I think 10 or 11 tracks, there was a lot of work that had to go into supporting DCI's work to get that schedule in place. And Dave took the majority of that work, and it was impressive and massive work to get done. So I wouldn't be successful in my role as the chair without the people that helped and were a part of it as well. So I also was, yes, exactly. I also am on the board of advisors, and I think, Dave, you didn't mention, but you're a track leader as well for one of the tracks, and I'm also a track leader for the Move to BC. And I have done board of advisors in the past. This, other than being a track leader before, I hadn't done a lot of this other stuff, and there's a lot of work that goes into ensuring that the content that we bring is useful to users, because it is a conference for users. And I'm really excited because our current trend of attendees is 61% of the attendees are new to the conference. So that is a huge, right? That's a huge amount of new people.
That's crazy.
And it just shows, to Dave's point, that we're coming back from the impact of COVID. And I'm excited to see how this continues to grow. We have new people taking over these roles next year because thankfully these are only 1-year roles for the programming chair and co-chair. But I expect this to continue to grow. And it's so great seeing all of these new people coming in. And I'm excited to also get new blood into speaking and contributing to this as well. So we just have to find them and pull them in like they did us.
It is an amazing community, and I see many people coming in and joining the community and taking a stand like many do to speak and participate. I have so many things I want to ask both of you across the board, but let's take it back a moment. The Summit North America Conference is October 15th through October 20th, with the Academy being the 15th and the 16th. The rest of the conference is, I believe, the 17th to the 20th.
I think the Academy actually starts the 14th.
The
13th
14th?
or 14th? Yeah, it's
13th.
Friday.
13th.
Friday the 13th.
Wow, Friday the 13th.
How ominous is that? But yeah.
And then, so it is a community sort of driven conference. Microsoft does present and participate, but most of the presenters at the Academy and the sessions are members of the community, comprised of end users, as we may refer to them as well as partners and also some ISVs. So it truly is a community driven conference. There are many products discussed at the conference. We have Business Central, we have FNSCM, we have CE. And just to clarify, you and Dave worked on the Business Central product.
Right.
Okay. So what we're talking about for reference now is one, I don't want to say small piece, but one piece of a larger conference. It's still a lot of work, because I know you had mentioned, how many sessions do we have?
We have
over 100.
Over 100 sessions, plus 24 little mini sessions called fast chats as well, which and a wide range of speakers as well. I forgot to count the number of speakers, but we have just a ton of speakers as well.
We can give you a minute to count. Yeah. I'm talking. Go fast. You're an accountant by trade. You can count quickly. Go ahead. So.
Well, the other part of that too is is it's not just BC for the users that are attending. So if you're a user that's attending for BC, you actually have access to all of the sessions. So if you have, interest in the Power Platform, Power BI, Power Apps, all of those sessions are available to you, or CE, anything like that. The whole conference is available to you. And now you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of sessions that are open to you to be able to attend.
That is amazing. So with the conference, with the sessions, you mentioned that there is an academy that starts on Friday the 13th. My dates get all screwed up. I don't know why I thought it was later. So the academy.
You're thinking about our academy.
Yes. That's all I think about. Are there any other academies?
No.
Clearly
Ours
not.
is the 15th
Clearly
and the 16th. Who cares before that?
So I'm just trying to cover what somebody could expect that attends. And again, I'm assuming the academy also goes for some of the other products as well, if the schedule's available. So
there is, but I would just warn people that the registration officially closed yesterday. There is a separate fee for the academy, so don't just show up and think because you registered for Summit you can go to these academy classes. So I don't know if you try to register today or tomorrow if they'll still let you. I mean, officially it ended yesterday, but there are a number of
the academy registration
going on.
is closed. But if you show up and say Dave sent you, then maybe they'll join.
In the past, we've absolutely had people try to register the same day, and I think they try to accommodate as best as possible, right?
Okay.
It's
money, so
it's money, right? But the speakers obviously have to prep for all of that because the academy classes very specifically are in-depth, hands-on training courses. A lot of people have to build their environments so that everybody has access to it, because that's the whole purpose of it. I know Dave has an academy class. I myself have one. You two, I think, have one. So there's prep that goes into it, right? So I think that's why they do it. But I've heard of people showing up same day and trying to register. And I would say, if you're interested, send an email at a minimum. There's no harm in that. But I think, and the other piece of it was, it is extra money, but most of them, if not all of them this year, are eligible for continuing professional education credits. So on top of the fact that you get to go and learn new things or expand your knowledge on a product that's pretty awesome, you can get your CPE credits as well for the year. And especially for accountants, that's really important. So.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so thank you. The registration for the academy is closed, but those are in-depth training sessions. If someone's not registered this year, next year, they could be aware that they would be possible to have that again. So now the conference consists of an expo hall where ISVs, partners, vendors can present their products, offerings, whatever they have to offer the community, again, across all of the products, not just Business Central. And then there are also sessions. You mentioned there's over 100 sessions for the Business Central group. Can you give us an idea of what types of sessions are for Business Central? I know there's a number of tracks, Dave, you had mentioned. Can you give us an idea of what those tracks are and what types of things or a type of information attendees can learn?
Yeah, the tracks range anywhere from new to BC, so somebody that's just brand new, wanting to get some basic level classes in there, all the way to more advanced classes. There's sessions on manufacturing, on inventory, supply chain tracks, development tracks, just a wide variety of tracks for people, jobs and service, the different aspects within Business Central, and within those are various sessions in those tracks. So, at least for manufacturing, for example, how to set up routings, how to deal with work centers and machine centers, how to set up bombs, how to deal with flushing concepts and all those kind of things. And within jobs and services, how to handle jobs, how to handle service management. In the accounting side, basically a lot of sessions on everything an accountant needs to know, from setting up charts of accounts to posting transactions to doing financial reporting. All of those are just sessions that are going to be available. And there's a wide range all the way from very basic level classes to more advanced level classes. And So what we really wanted to cater to is companies bringing multiple people to this, so that you could have somebody that's focused on accounting or somebody that's focused on manufacturing or development, and all of those people going in their various directions and then coming together to discuss what they found. So, there's something for everybody. If you go to Summit and you don't come away with anything, then you really didn't go to Summit for a specific purpose, because there's just everything is available to you in those sessions.
No, that is great, and I know there's a lot of information. So there are sessions. Amanda, I think you had talked about fast chats.
Yeah, so a session can be anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes. I think there's a 75-minute option in there, and those are depending again on how in depth or how expansive the material is for that. The fast chats are 25 minutes. They're not in a room, they're in a more casual setting, where the intent for those is just to get some real quick, fast knowledge and have a conversation. People will bring and prepare, like the leader of that will bring and prepare some probably small demos or slides or handouts, but the goal there is just that quick in between. I really want to know about this new thing, right? Or I already know about this thing. I have questions about it now. In addition to that, in the fast chats, we have medic booths, which is
you read my mind.
Yeah, also is there's typically a functional and a technical person in the time frame at the same time. So we want to get both, all areas covered. And as an end user, you can go and ask the expert that is there at the time your question about maybe something's not working the way you think it should, or you're implementing something new and you just don't know where to start. This is a great place for you to go and start that conversation. Now, obviously, we have experts that cover many different things. Dave is a manufacturing expert. I am an accounting expert. So if you go there when I'm there and you have a manufacturing question, I may be able to answer it. I'm okay with manufacturing. But the next piece is I'll be like, oh, Dave or Steve, they're the people that you need to talk to, and then connect that user to that person if they're just not available at that time. So not only can you potentially get an answer or direction, if you don't know those people, we'll help connect you with them during the conference as well, so you can ask them. And some of the sessions are actually Ask the Experts. And those are by functional or track areas. So Ask the Experts manufacturing, accounting, I think development, we have one. So again, getting the opportunity to go with a panel of people and ask your question. And you'll see sometimes the panel doesn't always agree on the answer, but that's the great part of it, right? Because I might have a different experience than Dave does with costing, for example. And so you'll get to see both aspects of that during that conversation. So, and those
in addition to that, sorry, Amanda. In addition to that, with the Ask the Experts, it's not just the panel. The panel is more moderators, kind of thing, because you have the advantage of additionally the 10 to 30 people that are also in the room that are all seeking help. And so they're all looking for answers. And oftentimes the answer comes from somebody else that's in the room, not necessarily from the panelists.
It's a conversation about the questions that are asked. So
the sessions are scheduled over the course of the conference. You had just mentioned that there's the tech medic booth, it's the same thing, desk, whatever you'd like to call it.
Medic desk.
The medic desk. The medic booth will have members of the community there to ask questions throughout the conference. That is not something that's timed. I think there are specific times where people will be there, but that is available through the conference session day, correct? So that because it's often a gathering spot too, for a lot of the BC people. If you need to meet somebody, well, meet me by the medic booth, because everybody will know where that is. And so even though it may not be within the official time frame of when the medics are scheduled,
there will be people floating around there all the time.
Yes, last year I noticed that was a big hangout, and I think what ended up happening, the times that I was at the medic booth, it turned out to be like a big, for lack of better terms, party, because I think human nature is if you see a group of people, you want to be in that group of people to see what it is. Right? I was like, they did those experiments where like they started a line like to nothing. And like people just actually got in the line and they didn't even know what they were waiting for. But I
just hung out with Dave at that time.
There's a line, so that is great. Also, on a note, I just wanted to jump back. I didn't get a chance to mention it when we were talking because I get so excited about this. Amanda, I understand that you're a recent MVP as well. So
I am. Yes.
We have to say congratulations to you on that.
Congrats!
And I also just wanted to use the soundboard because I haven't been using it the past few episodes. I forget kind of what we have.
I appreciate that.
And then Dave, I understand you are a legend.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that means.
2 years ago,
I've been there
I
for a
think
while.
you became.
It means you've been around a long time.
Was it last year?
I got the hair to prove it. Yeah.
When were you a legend? I
think it was just last year.
Last year you were a legend, or this year?
Yeah.
Last year.
2022. So. Okay. We will have some more, a couple more legends this year, along with All-Stars, and there will be some awards that are given out during the general session for BC, and also at the end at the Legends stage, which is part of the expo, where those kind of things will be given out.
Do you know who the legends will be?
I do not.
Amanda,
sorry, can't spill any beans.
I am not a legend, so I am not on
who
the
votes for that stuff.
No. Wait a second.
I think the legends do.
So Dave,
Dave is teasing you. I think he knows.
I do not know. I know who the nominees were, but I don't know who eventually was selected.
Dave, nobody likes a liar. You can just say you know.
I know no one does, and that's why I'm not one. So I know the final results were accumulated by someone else on the board, one of the other legends, and specifically said I'm not telling anybody who they were.
Yeah.
So there's a certain legend I'm going to call right after this and ask.
I'm not going to tell you, but the only reason I know who the All-Stars are is because I'm prepping the deck for the general session. That's the only reason. And I did also get a message that said, don't say anything by the person who is responsible. And frankly, I don't want Meenakshi on my bad side. I don't want to be on her
please bad side. Share with us who the All-Star is? We will not tell anybody.
Unfortunately, we are recording this for a podcast, so I really don't feel confident that it will not be shared.
Kris will bleep out the names.
You can say hand signals.
Hand signals.
Sign language.
Dave, are you an all-star? You're an all-star, aren't you?
I'm an all-star, yeah.
So you're a former... or wait, once you're a legend, you're always a legend. And once you're an
all-star,
you're
always an all-star.
A former all-star, like the former president.
My claim to fame is I was one of the first 3 all-stars. In 2015.
Nice.
Yep. We have to come up with a different sound because that's the same.
Yeah, the only award that really is you can get more of is what they call the I can't remember what they call them.
Gemstone Awards.
The Gemstone Awards.
Yeah.
So ruby, sapphire, emerald, granite.
I got one of those.
Usually it's involved with for participation. So as you participate more in the community, whether you speak, ask questions, submit articles, respond to questions on the forum site, you get points. And then at the end of the year, you're basically placed in a category where you receive gemstones.
Wow, I have to start using that forum
And you can get that every year. So.
Maybe I can get a nice little stone.
Yeah.
For partners, it's just the granite, I think, is the
granite. And it's a higher bar for partners as well.
Yeah.
Like you have to really participate.
I had that crystal one at 1 year. I think was it last year? It was like a mug and a pen.
Yep.
Yes. The Crystal Awards, I have like a whole shelf of them actually. Of over the years, most of them are pre-COVID, but it's always fun. Like I think we all contribute because we love to, but then just this nice little, hey, thanks we really appreciate your contribution to the community. It's the nice little warm, happy feeling that you get from doing something like that. And you get something to show that as well.
I do it for just the love of the community. Like all the stuff that I do and share, I do it just for that because I just have fun and I love the product. And I say it time and time again on every episode, even in person, I should just record it and just play it over. I guess we are recording it. Yeah. The more members that come into the community, the better it is for all of us.
Yeah.
And then, the more users of the community, the more the product will grow. And it's just like, it's just an ever growing thing. And I enjoy it. So I always get out there and try to help just so that people have great experience with the product, because I do want it to not be sold to NetSuite like Dave said it was going to be. So
it is a challenge in this environment when you say that, because nowadays a lot more users, at least we are finding with the clients that I'm working with, a lot more users are going to YouTube and Google and whatever to try and find answers to their questions. And so more and more are using that. So having an opportunity to get users together where you can not only ask questions, but discuss scenarios and discuss situations that are going on is really invaluable. And I would hope that that would continue and people wouldn't just exclusively, brush off conferences and say, I'll just go to YouTube, I'll just Google it, because you lose a lot. A lot of some of the content you see on YouTube, one, could be incorrect. I mean, I've seen several videos, even regarding Business Central, where you kind of go, why are they suggesting that? Or why did they tell you that? That's completely wrong, or you would never do that. Some of them are very good. A lot of it is very good. But the conferences are great to be able to get together and just ask questions back and forth, where you can't do that on a YouTube video.
That leads me to another question that I had when I was listening to you speak, but I first have another more important question. It's probably the most important question that I have about the conference, and I will ask everybody that we speak to about the conference about it. What are we doing for food? And are they going to have food during the expo hours? I go to these conferences for food.
Coffee and water.
They don't necessarily share with us the full experience, but generally breakfast and lunch is provided. You get what you get, and usually they try and make it fairly.
You get what you get. You're going to like it.
Yeah, local cuisine kind of thing. So they try and make it good. So generally at these conferences, breakfast and lunch has been very good. At least feeling you get something to eat. The dinners, there's not really dinners. So the expo hall will be open, and a lot of times they'll have hors d'oeuvres or finger food or something, which you can definitely eat and fill up with and be done. I will
tell you,
give and take.
I will tell you, probably one of the best ones was that one time where they had food trucks. Where was that? It was great. It was great because it was in the expo hall where you just walk onto the other end. And there were just food trucks. Was that Houston? It might have been Houston, where they had food trucks. I can't remember where that was.
That was amazing. One thing I do have to say about the food, and I joke, but I do. Some conferences have great food. Some conferences have, to me, food that's not so great. But it is also difficult if you have a conference with, what is the total number? 6,000, 7,000 people?
Yeah,
it's tough to feed 7,000 people.
A lot of people. And one of the things that they do try to consider, of course, are dietary concerns, right? So covering the range of things that people can and will eat. And like Dave said, they do try to make it based on local cuisine as much as they can. It's a difficult thing. I think if I can not starve, I'm happy, right? Like if I don't have to leave the conference area and I'm not starving by the end of the day, and then I can fill myself up on hors d'oeuvres in the expo hall while I drink too much, I think I've had a great day as far as food is concerned.
Well, you want that greasy hors d'oeuvre food when you're drinking too much, don't you?
I mean, I still have to talk to clients and friends and everything, so I can't get wasted until after.
Well, I'm not saying you have to pass out in the middle of the conference.
No, but yeah, I think that.
Well, yeah. Well, and I think they try and make it somewhat finger food, light food, because they know that a lot of people are going out.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity for partners to take their clients out, to take potential clients out, to take friends out. So there's a lot of people that are sponsoring dinners or going out to dinners later. in the evening. So it's a big environment of networking and socializing.
And you can walk around with food.
Afterward too.
Yes. One of the best parts of these conferences, which goes into the question that I had that I wrote down while you were speaking before, is the in-person interaction and the networking opportunities that you have. And Amanda, you had mentioned, I have been attending these conferences for years, and some people I only see at these conferences, but you still form great friendships that you can have communications with throughout the year, and you look forward to seeing each other. But it is the opportunity, Dave, you had mentioned YouTube, Google search and things, which is a great effective way to learn, but sometimes you can get that network that you build that you can ask questions to even when you're outside of the conference, and even have that personal touch there.
That conversation.
So the networking part is one big piece of it. But Dave, you had mentioned user groups, the virtual versus in person. And this has been something that's been on my mind for a while. And I've asked around to members of the community, a lot of user groups pop up, a lot of events occur, and it's a matter of, well, which one do I go to? Which one do I attend? We have a conference here. We have a user group here. We have in person. We have virtual. What is your thought on the virtual versus in-person users group, and how can someone determine what's best to attend or what may be beneficial for them to attend to? Because you can't go to everything. I don't think it's possible for somebody to go to everything. And this kind of slips into this really dangerous area of talking about DCI and the other one, Doug. And a lot of users specifically are confused by, what the differences are between dynamic communities and dynamic user group. They both have content, they both have conferences. So it's a matter of identifying which one. And I know as a board of advisors recently, in a recent meeting just last week, we talked about the fact that we have no problem advocating for the other one, or at least sponsoring the other one, not sponsoring, but at least mentioning the other conferences that are going on, just because we're interested in the users. We want to make sure the users have the information that they need. And you're right, some people can't go to Summit. Summit is in October of every year. There are some people that may not be able to do that. Dynamic User Group has a live conference in the May timeframe. They call it DynamicsCon Live. They also have a virtual conference. They also have local meetups. So there is this, it's kind of a combination. You can actually take advantage of both of them. Both of the groups have good content. In fact, a lot of the people that, on the board of advisors and that participate in the content in the forum for Dynamics use or dynamic communities are also part of Dynamics User Group. In fact, if you go to the conferences, sometimes you'll get the same speakers in both, because we're interested in making sure that users are well informed of what's going on. But as you're dealing with virtual versus in-person, virtual has its place, and I think we saw that during the pandemic, where everybody was virtual, where we all had to kind of make do with what we were doing. I think the problem, and I think people are seeing that now, is that face-to-face in person is really invaluable. It's hard to do that in a virtual environment. Hard to ask questions, hard to, just interact with other people, to have side conversations. And that really at a user group is often where some really valuable information is somebody's having a side conversation in the back of a room, or you meet somebody in the hallway right after the session and you say, can I pick your brain about a specific question or issue? That you don't get in the virtual environment. But in the live environment, that happens all the time.
I think too, it's also important to note, like, the learning experience for the person. I am not good in a virtual environment as far as learning. There's so many other distractions. It's real hard, even if you try to, put your phone face down, and even if you can close all of your email and everything, it can be quite distracting still to try to be learning in that environment. But some people succeed in that environment. Like, they're able to say, I'm doing this for a few hours and this is exactly what I need. I personally think that it's a combination of them both, right, to get the best out of it. I hope to never miss a conference again, but I also like to occasionally participate in those virtual things or the webinars, or, in the years past, I took academy classes that were virtual as well. And so I think it's really important that both options are available because people learn in different ways. And then too, there's the cost considerations and the time consideration, right? From an end user perspective, every year as an end user, I had to like go to my boss's office kicking and screaming to like get the budget to be able to do this. And I was also the only ever one that went. Like I couldn't get more people, I couldn't get more budget to go. So having a few more virtual options at that time would have benefited my company, my end user company. And so there's aspects of that too, of the cost consideration and the time consideration. Dave points out, of course, that Summit's in October. In my past life, our year end was September 30th. So in addition to the budget, of getting the cost covered for going there, it was also my year end. So those are the types of things that with this, I mean, hopefully we don't see too much separation of this, but that's right now the real benefit of having these two entities doing this with a lot of the same crossover and similar content, but you will see different content also being provided between the two of them. So I think the expansion into virtual has helped.
Oh, it is. I see with what both of you are saying about that as far as virtual. And what sometimes I find difficult is where do you go to ask questions? It's,
yes.
Sometimes it's tough because you have forums and you can never have just one of everything. I understand that, but sometimes it's challenges as far as, keeping up with, the Yammer groups with the forum for this, a forum for that.
Oh yeah.
Post a question
and we didn't even mention Microsoft's forum.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think you're missing a little bit of detail too, because like what Dave was saying, you get a lot even after a session where you do meet others outside, where you're like, okay, we're in the same space. You're asking the same question as I am. How are you doing it this way? And you can have that conversation. You can't do that virtually, not through even a forum of that back and forth conversation.
Right.
You can like try to stalk someone on LinkedIn and connect with them, but it's still not the same, right?
Well, and that's what's nice about meeting somebody in person, exchanging contact information, because now when you have a question, you know who to contact.
Yeah.
You can contact somebody specifically as opposed to just posting the question on the forum and waiting for an answer. I can call so-and-so. And I don't mind that, and a lot of the people don't. Contact me if you got questions, because we're all passionate enough about the product that we love talking about it, and we love trying to help people.
I think that's a great
solve
tip,
their issues
there for first time attendees. You said 61%, right, Amanda? Is there a breakdown of where of that 61%? Like, is it majority of BC users?
Yeah, so I think at the last count, we were just over 30% of the attendees were Business Central.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of that has to do with what's happening in the GP world, right? With people moving into BC because of the sunsetting of GP. But that said, I think that if we were to go back and look at the numbers from previous years and pre-COVID, I think that it probably would have been a little bit more even between, like, I remember seeing CRM people all over the place in previous years. And I think that we're seeing more growth in those other areas as GP kind of goes away. So thirds is pretty interesting to see that. And more people are buying into the concept of the environment, right? It's not just the single ERP, it's all the other products, not the ISVs for the ERP, but the CRM, the Power Apps, all of those things to really expand on what they're doing. And they're truly investing in the whole world instead of just a single product.
You both had mentioned, or you started talking about some facts. I like statistics and I like numbers, and some of the planning meetings I would love to hear the latest numbers. So you're saying 61% of the entire conference are first-time members, or just the Business Central track?
No, 61% of the entire conference.
Half of that,
and then 30%.
Yeah.
And then 30% of the entire conference is Business Central.
Approximately, yeah. Well, 30%.
Yeah, and even that, yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, even then, one of the statistics that we got was when you register, you ask basically what product you're attending for, and then also what your install base is. And so what we found was that there were a number of people, and Amanda, you can correct me, it's around 1,000 people were there specifically going for Business Central, but about 15 or 1,600 had BC installed.
Oh.
So they are going primarily for maybe Power Apps or CE or one of the other products, but they have BC installed, so you know they're going to come to BC sessions also. There's just, like I mentioned earlier, there's that crossover between the different UGs, and you can attend all the different things, because I'm there for BC primarily, but will probably attend some Power sessions as well, just to kind of beef up that area of my knowledge. So the other statistic that I know Amanda likes to point out too, I'm surprised you haven't mentioned it, is in the past, most of the attendees were functionally were finance. And we're not seeing that anymore. Amanda,
wow.
What was the breakout
Shifting.
now, at least the top two?
Yeah, historically it had been 40% had been finance attendees. And the trend right now is, I was looking for it. That's why I hadn't did. I want to make sure I said it properly.
I have more questions on statistics.
It's
so
30%, approximately 30% each for finance and tech within the attendees for Business Central. So that's pretty cool too, that we're seeing more investment from other areas. And then operations and execs are about 16% a piece as well.
Wow.
So that has been a long time trend that it's largely been finance, but now we're starting to see people shift that. And that's obviously the advent of these continued products, the Power Apps, the CRM, all the additional things that are being added to this, that we get more of those tech people in there as well.
Of the attendees, how many are users versus partners or ISVs?
So the last count was 51% were end users. The problem with that particular number that I'm unable to dig into at this time is that they broke speakers out of that. And obviously there are speakers that are partners, ISVs, and end users, right? So 10% of the attendees are speakers, but I'm not sure how many of those are end users. So it's slightly higher than that. And then they group the partner, consultant, exhibitor together at 39%. So over 50% of the attendees are end users. And, we talked a little bit earlier about the expo. The expo is huge. So imagine just the number of people that have to attend to support the expo, so that you as an end user can then go and find those additional gold partner or gold products to add into your environment. It's just a massive thing to be able to do that. So
yes, the expo hall and the sessions, somebody will definitely get a lot from this conversation.
Yeah.
Dave had mentioned, if you walk away saying you didn't get anything from it, you didn't go, because
you didn't
I myself,
right? Yeah.
Every time I attend a conference, I always walk away with something new, something that I didn't know about, something that I learned, a new contact or 1,000. And it's fascinating. I have another question, Amanda. I was looking at the pictures, and I was looking at them last time.
Oh, yeah.
It's like people beating each other up in your pictures.
Oh, yeah. So a lot of the pictures behind me, I play roller derby for Windy City Rollers, which is a Chicago-based team. I'm in Milwaukee. I did play for Milwaukee until 2018 when I transferred. So it's hard. These are me. This was in my Milwaukee years. I was very
Kris,
early.
You need to zoom in on those.
And then this is me, one of my first games for Chicago out in Buffalo, New York. So there's a bunch of them. This is me as a rec leaguer in a beer bottle costume, because Milwaukee was sponsored by we were the Bruce City Bruisers.
I'm staying away from Amanda at the conference.
She'll clothesline you.
Yeah.
Roller derby. I remember watching roller derby when I was young, and I always thought roller derby was, ready? I'm sure you hear this, was scripted, just like wrestling.
Well, I don't think it was ever truly scripted, but it definitely had a WWE feel to it.
Yes.
And even when the resurgence came around in the 90s, it definitely had that. I was not in the sport at that time, but I've heard some crazy stories about like penalty boxes that were metal cages with drag queens in them that like beat you with a stick. Like
For
not
real?
really beat you, but like,
Oh.
because you were in trouble. You were in the penalty box. I've heard of like, fights breaking out on the track. It's not that roller derby anymore. It's not even the roller derby. Like a lot of times when people tell me they've seen it, they saw it in the 70s when it was really more like a race around a track. And that's
I'm
actually
a
how it
dinosaur,
started.
right? So that's what I'm talking about. When they
I
had the
think we're
race
all
around the track,
dinosaurs except for
the
maybe
people in the
Kris.
middle, and they
Yeah.
did the little swing, and the person like shot around the track, and they did the elbow, and they went over the railing.
So elbows are definitely not legal anymore. But I would say that it is absolutely a far more physical sport than it was. Like it was a physical sport in that it was racing around a track and there were things like elbows, but it is a full contact sport on skates where you are playing both offense and defense at the same time, and the game is usually behind you. So, because you're skating
What
forward.
Is the game then? What is the objective? And is it co-ed?
It can be. So the sport is largely a women and non-binary type sport, women-driven. There are men's leagues and men's teams, but they are in the minority. The point of the game is to win, to get the most points, but there's no ball, right? So there are, assuming no penalties from each team, 5 players on the track at a time. One of them is the jammer. They have a star on their helmet. The other 4 are blockers. One of those blockers is called a pivot. And you can actually see in this picture right here, this is a pivot wearing a stripe on their helmet. The stripe means that they are the only blocker that can become a jammer and therefore a scorer. So the jammer is the person that scores, and scoring is done by the jammer passing their hips past their opposing blockers. So our bodies are the game when it comes down to it.
So you score by having your jammer pass the other team's blockers.
Yes, and which is why this is a game of both offense and defense at the same time, because you're attempting to stop the other jammer while also hopefully helping your jammer pass the other ones.
And then the pivot person can be a jammer or a blocker.
Pivot, so that will sometimes happen if, so a jam is 2 minutes long or up to 2 minutes long. The jammer that gets out of the pack, meaning all the blockers, first legally becomes the lead jammer, and they are technically in control of the jam then, which means that they can call off the jam for whatever reason. Usually it's called off because the other jammer's close and might start scoring as well, or maybe they're tired, or maybe the other jammer's in the penalty box and we want to freeze them there for the next jam. It's a very strategic game as well. So the opposing team that does not get lead may be struggling to get their jammer out of the pack, at which point the jammer would take the helmet cover off of their helmet and look for their pivot and try to pass it. At which point then the pivot is now the jammer. And that is oftentimes how a jam will get called before the 2 minutes, because then the pivot gets out and they're going to start scoring. And of course you don't want that, very likely, to continue to let them score.
Dave, you got to go check out the Rat City roller derby team.
Rat City is very good. I have a couple of previous teammates who skate on it as well. So so Windy is one of the top teams in the world. We've just, the ranking system has changed. We're back to a more regional ranking system, although there is some global one as well. We have a tournament at the end of October, in fact, where people are coming to us. So we'll have 3 games in Chicago where we play actually Gotham, which is out of New York. and I think Santa Cruz and Queen City as well. So it's good. And we just were out in California playing a few teams there. We went to Montreal earlier this year and played. We went to St. Louis and played.
So it's a physical sport where you bang each other around, basically.
Pretty much. It's a full, so it's like probably the closest comparison is rugby on skates.
I was going to think about that. Rugby on skates. That's interesting. Why didn't you propose
So
that they
we
do
need to
this at
set up
Summit?
a rink in the expo.
That's what I was
think,
just
so.
going to say. Why didn't you? You're on this committee. Why didn't you plan us to have a little rugby match? I would love to skate around.
And you're the chair.
And
Chris
can be the pivot. I'll be the jammer. You and Dave can be our blockers.
So just if you're ever looking for something fun to watch, a few years ago there was a band by the name of Broadside, where in Milwaukee we recorded one of their music videos with them. I think the name of the music video, the song is called Come and Go, I believe. The band is Broadside, and part of that was them getting on roller skates and us playing a game against each other. And of course they did not have, most of them were barely skating, so.
Broadside, Come and Go on YouTube. I'm watching it. Are you in that video?
I am, actually. And actually a skater now on not my home team, but out of Chicago, said her now husband was in the production team for that. And that was her first exposure to derby. And she started playing derby because of it. So
I wonder if I watched this.
Yeah, so that's fun. There's been documentaries about derby as well. So yeah, it's fun. It's the most fun I've ever had doing an activity. I hate working out, but this is like fun. It's so fun.
Talking about activity, when we go to these conferences, do you guys ever take the time to go early or stay later to kind of check out the city? What's your take on that?
Chris is trying to rein us back in to Summit, it sounds like.
I'm watching this YouTube video. I want to see if I can see Amanda slugging somebody.
Oh, you'll be able to see me.
Wait. Hold on. I got to pause on the big. They have all of you.
Oh, I see her.
Wait.
Go to the 53 second
I'm at
mark.
54.
There's one where they actually pan
this,
all of us, and that's. But
I think the woman second from the left in the white helmet.
Is that
Amanda?
No, I should have a black helmet, I believe. But Chris, yes, sometimes I have. In fact,
are you on the right? Go to the 54 second mark of that video. Tell me where you are.
Want me to go to that? Okay. I, in fact, am going to. This year.
Chris is trying to reel us in, but no, we're doing it. Go ahead. Keep going.
I'm going to this Jedi Vulcan cocktail experience on Friday night afterwards. So.
Oh, the 20th?
Yeah.
I will not be there.
Go to the 57 second mark. A helmet with "shut your face" on the beginning in the front of it.
Yes. The shut your face.
There's two of them in that shot.
Number 69.
That is me.
Bruisers. Bruce City Bruisers.
Wait, hold on. Oh, shoot. Okay. Yes. The shut your face. I forgot that my first helmet had shut your face on it.
Yeah.
So yes,
that's a mean looking shot.
Amazing.
So.
Yeah, I'm afraid.
It's one of my favorite faces to make. So my derby name is Demand a Beating.
Demand a beating?
Demand a beating.
Oh, demand a beating.
That's good.
I get it. Demand a beating. Get it?
Yeah.
Put a D in front of Amanda and then get a beating.
Yes, that's it. But my
See how
nickname
quick
is
I am?
Bam. Because my name was something else. And then my number is 69 because I'm 5'9".
Okay, we'll figure that one out at some point.
No, I'm 5'9". It's 69 inches. Everybody.
Okay.
Everybody assumes
I thought the 6'9" is where you were going, and that's what I was trying to figure out.
Which is 69 inches. So.
Okay, I was trying to figure out why it wasn't. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah. So that's.
Well, Chris. Yeah. So, Chris, I guess part of your question too is there is a lot of a lot of opportunity to visit the cities that you go to.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people will come in just for the event. But there are parties and there are opportunities in the evening to kind of hit some of the local restaurants and local bars. I'm not sure how many people come in like a day or two early and visit the city. I know they're a part of that, that are coming in to do that. But I don't think I've ever done that. But that's not to say
never
it
done
won't
that?
happen
You're
in the
missing
future.
out.
I know, coming in early and just touring the city.
I thought you've
prefer
done
to
that,
do
Dave.
it after, not before, because I think
Well,
you get,
a little bit, but not too much.
you get tired.
You get tired.
You know,
Yeah.
before the conference, I would rather, or maybe because often if I do presentations or if I, if you're participating in a conference, I usually want to, I don't want to say stressed, but I'm anxious for my presentation. I'm anxious for whatever I have to do. So I wouldn't be able to let loose before. So after, when I don't have.
Well, but at least this time, though, with the academy and then the conference, I'm going to be away from home for almost a week and a half. So at some point, it's like, I just want to go home.
I respect that too. This is a
That's
long haul for a lot of us versus the 4 or 5 days.
I think I was 3 weeks because we had like a full academy class, like a week-long academy class. And we had only the Sunday off. And there were 3 of us that this was when we were in Phoenix. We took a day trip to the Grand Canyon on the Sunday before the actual conference started. It was a drive. We got up very, very early. Ended up at a diner for breakfast along the way. It was beautiful. I've done a couple of things. Kris, do you do stuff before or after?
I tried to. I know a few times in Florida, I went to Disney World by myself.
By yourself?
Oh yeah, it's fun. Like you're like a kid, but and you're enjoying it by yourself.
He wants the violin.
That's funny that you say that because midway through one of the last times I was in Florida, I texted my partner. I'm like, hey, I got some points. You want to fly down and let's go to Disney World afterwards and Universal. And then for his birthday or for Christmas, I bought him the early Christmas gift because he loves Halloween. And it was like their Halloween. You could do at Disney World, the Halloween stuff. So yeah, I've done stuff like that. You got to take advantage of. I've never been to Charlotte, so why not?
No, if you have the time, you should. It's almost for the years of doing consulting before the internet, where we used to go places. I used to travel a lot, and I used to tell everybody I've been everywhere but been nowhere, because oftentimes you'd come in, you'd work, hotel to catch up on work, get up, work, hotel, get up, work, hotel, plane.
They're long days.
Yeah.
I have one of our employees who's coming this year. It's her first conference, and the other younger guy, in his career, it's only like his second or third one. The rest of us have kind of been, and we had this conversation about be prepared by the end of the week to be exhausted because we've talked about it, right? There's sessions all day, there's the expo, and then almost every night there's some sort of thing going on. Partners and ISVs throw parties and you get your client dinners. And I said, expect to just sleep when you're dead, be exhausted. And he said that the one gentleman was like, yeah, I really thought I would get more sleep because I had a 5-month-old baby at the time. He said, nope, I got less sleep than being at home with my 5-month-old baby.
No, that's interesting. It's great. Well, Dave, Amanda, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us today. Everybody's time is value, and both Kris and I truly appreciate everyone and you both in this case for taking the time to speak with us, share your experience, share your stories. And now I'm going to look at YouTube videos for Roller Derby Amanda. So get ready for all my questions.
I'll find some good ones and I'll send them to you, Brad.
No, great. Absolutely. Please do so. I wanted to check it out. And I look forward to seeing both of you at the upcoming Summit Conference. But in the meantime, if you would, Dave, would you be able to tell us how anybody can get in contact with you to learn more about Summit, what you do for your company? I think it's been over a year now, so it's not so newly formed. That would be great.
Sorry, I got fuzzy there for a minute. I
thought it was
my camera
my
to
eyes.
refocus back in. There we go. Yeah, you can reach me at dave@dynamicsnorthwest.com. Just with any questions, or if you have, any advice you want to give me, or just scenarios, or just helpful hints, I'd be more than happy to get in touch with you.
Great, thank you, Amanda. We know where to find you on the rink, but now, is it called a rink?
It's a track.
A way to find you on the track.
Yes.
But how would somebody be able to get in contact with you or see some of the other great things that you're doing for the community?
Yeah, so you can
for
see
the planet and the universe.
You can see information about me on lid.com, LIDD. Otherwise, if you want to email me directly, it's Amanda.Mayer, MAYER, @lidd.com. I'd be happy to hear from people as well.
It's Amanda beating Mayer.
Yes.
Great. Well, great. Thank you both. I appreciate it, and talk with you soon. Ciao, ciao.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao. Thank you, Kris, for your time for another episode of In the Dynamics Corner Chair. And thank you to our guests for participating.
Thank you, Brad, for your time. It is a wonderful episode of Dynamics Corner Chair. I would also like to thank our guests for joining us. Thank you for all of our listeners tuning in as well. You can find Brad at developerlife.com. That is DVLPRLIFE.com. And you can interact with them via Twitter, DVLPRLIFE. You can also find me at matalino.io, MATALINO.io. And my Twitter handle is matalino16. And you can see those links down below in the show notes. Again, thank you, everyone. Thank you, and take care.